What if I told you there was a footballer who smoked during training, partied before matches, and still tore Europe's biggest teams apart? Raja Nainggolan didn't play by the rules. He rewrote them. From the streets of Antwerp to Champions League glory, this is the raw, untamed story they never wanted you to hear. Stick around, the ending will shock you. Born in Antwerp to a Belgian mother, Lizzie Bogaerts, and an Indonesian father who walked out before Raja Nainggolan could spell his name, life never handed him grace. Kiel, the neighborhood that cradled his childhood, didn't offer fairy tales. It carved men out of scraps, pressure, and pain. Growing up in the shadow of poverty and abandonment forced him to wear resilience like a second skin. While other kids collected jerseys, Nainggolan collected scars. Emotional, invisible, but every bit as real as the asphalt that skinned his knees. Football wasn't a sport. It was a fight for identity, a rebellion against fate. Each touch of the ball screamed that he wasn't going to end up as another forgotten story from the backstreets of Antwerp. But institutions don't always embrace the wild-hearted. Belgian youth academies passed on him again and again, labeling him undisciplined, too aggressive, too loud, too honest. But while they saw a flaw, Nainggolan saw fuel. They wanted obedience. He offered truth. They wanted conformity. He gave them chaos wrapped in flair. When no one opened their doors, he kicked one down in Italy, signing for Piacenza as a teenager. Alone in a new country, speaking a language he didn't understand, he still played like his mother's survival depended on it, because in a way, it did. Lizzie Bogaerts, who worked herself to the bone to raise him and his siblings, was the only anchor he had. But cancer is ruthless. In 2010, as Nainggolan signed for Cagliari and finally touched the stage of Serie A, death knocked and took his mother. It wasn't just a loss, it was devastation. But instead of letting it shatter him, he stitched her memory into his skin, angel wings tattooed on his back, and carved out a promise. To fight harder, run further, play louder. Because if life was going to keep testing him, then he was going to keep winning unattractive. At Cagliari, the world began to take notice. He didn't glide through games, he stormed through them. Nicknamed Ninja, he covered every blade of grass, a blur of mohawks and ink, slamming into tackles like they owed him money. He wasn't the elegant kind of midfielder that coaches dream about in tactical sessions. He was the warrior every teammate wanted beside them when the war got dirty. He smashed long-range goals, crunched opponents without blinking, and dictated games with sheer willpower. Over 130 appearances later, Raja Nainggolan wasn't just a player for Cagliari. He was Cagliari, a symbol of defiance, a thunderstorm in cleats. But while fans adored him, the media circled like vultures. They couldn't ignore the fact that he smoked. Not just in secret, publicly, proudly. They hammered him in headlines, called him a poor role model. But instead of hiding or pretending, Nainggolan doubled down. "I'm not a monk," he said. "I'm a footballer." He wasn't asking to be liked. He was demanding to be seen. No filters, no pretenses. He didn't care for appearances. He cared about loyalty, grit, and the pure high of competition. The more they tried to box him in, the harder he hit back, on and off the pitch. His performances couldn't be denied. And in 2014, AS Roma called. It wasn't just a move, it was an elevation. Rome, a city built on gladiators, finally had one back in the middle of the park. Raja Nainggolan didn't play midfield, he ruled it. With Daniele De Rossi beside him and Mohamed Salah up front, Roma wasn't just competing, they were threatening dynasties. Nainggolan became the beating heart of their campaigns. Long-range screamers, last-ditch tackles, bone-rattling duels. This was his kingdom. Under Luciano Spalletti, he hit his peak. In the 2016-2017 season, he was the embodiment of Rome's hunger. That year, as Juventus tightened its grip on the league, Roma pushed back with fire, refusing to kneel. Every game became a test of nerve, and Nainggolan answered with fire in his lungs and fury in his veins. A crucial goal against Udinese, a rocket against Fiorentina. Then came the masterclass at the San Siro, where he tore Inter Milan apart with 2 goals that seemed dipped in madness. The Scudetto dream might have faltered, But Raja's legend grew with every step. The game against Juventus was the climax of that fire. Down 1-0 early, he didn't flinch. He rallied his teammates, screamed louder than the critics. A goal from Stefan El Shaarawy gave them the lead, but it was the third that defined him. A Sulla assist, a Nainggolan finish, and Rome erupted. Not just because they beat Juventus, but because their warrior had once again bled for the badge. Champions League football beckoned. In 2017-2018, Roma wasn't just a contender. They became headline makers. The run to the semi-final was nothing short of miraculous. They battled past Shakhtar Donetsk. Then came Barcelona, giants of Europe, led by Lionel Messi. A 4-1 loss in the first leg? Most teams would have folded. Not with Nainggolan. In the return leg at the Olimpico, he didn't just play, he dominated. His presence dragged Roma up from the grave. A 3-0 win. A comeback for the ages. Raja Nainggolan was everywhere. Passing, tackling, screaming, surviving. It was one of the greatest European nights Rome had ever seen. But it wasn't all glory. The same fire that lit up stadiums often burned bridges. On New Year's Eve 2017, a video surfaced, Nainggolan drunk, smoking, slurring his words. The club fined him. Fans criticized him. But he didn't hide. He never did. I had too much fun, he admitted. I made a mistake. But the world didn't want apologies. They wanted angels in boots. Raja wasn't interested in playing that game. He didn't just lose favor with club management. Belgium turned its back too. Despite being arguably the best box-to-box midfielder in Serie A, he was dropped for the national team. Coach Roberto Martinez claimed it was tactical. Nainggolan called it what it was, political. He doesn't like me. That's fine, he said, but don't lie to me. Belgium fans were furious. They knew what they had lost. In a golden generation filled with elegance, they discarded the one warrior who brought chaos, the kind that wins wars. Then came Inter Milan. In 2018, he joined the Nerazzurri, but the romance was over before it began. He was never Spalletti's golden boy. Discipline issues emerged. He missed training. He was suspended. By 2019, Inter had enough. He was loaned back to Cagliari, not as a step back, but as a step home. His wife, Claudia Lai, was fighting cancer. And in Sardinia, he could fight with her. It wasn't about football anymore. It was about love, loyalty, and silence away from the spotlight. Still, even then, controversy lurked. He criticized Inter Milan for their lack of empathy. The media spun it. But those who knew his story understood he was never just a footballer. He was a man fighting battles on all fronts. Through it all, he kept playing, smoking behind the scenes, partying when others were prepping. But when the ball rolled, Nainggolan never gave less than everything. Coaches clashed with him. Eusebio Di Francesco at Roma, Spalletti at Inter, Roberto Martinez with Belgium, all citing discipline. But discipline never scored goals. Discipline didn't fly into tackles when no one else dared. Raja Nainggolan wasn't built for spreadsheets and meal plans. He was built for battles. His career could have been easier if he played the game their way. If he smiled more, partied less, smoked in secret, but that would have meant burying the man he truly was. And Raja Nainggolan would rather burn out in truth than survive in fiction. Years passed. New players emerged. Clean-cut, media-trained, polished stars. But few carried the crowd like Nainggolan. Few could set a stadium on fire just by stepping on the pitch. Because it wasn't about skills. It was about soul. And Raja Nainggolan had enough soul to fill coliseums. He played with the rage of the abandoned, the heart of the mother who raised him, the fire of a man the world told no over and over. He was flawed. He was human. But he was unforgettable. They said you couldn't drink, smoke, party, and still dominate. Raja Nainggolan proved them wrong. He didn't play the game. He redefined it. Was Raja Nainggolan the last real warrior in modern football? Or was he simply too raw for a polished world that demands perfection? Did he redefine what it means to be a footballer? Or become a cautionary tale for those who won't play by the rules? Drop your thoughts in the comments. No filters. And if you love stories that hit harder than a two-footed tackle, make sure to subscribe. More legends are coming.